All right. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webcast on Color It Out, a compelling pronunciation and literacy game for everyone. Today, my purpose is to introduce you to Color It Out, show you a bit of how the game is played, and answer questions about how Color It Out supports your learners, whether they're adults, whether they're children, whether they're first language speakers of English or second language speakers of English. This is a game that really is for everyone and provides a space for people to walk in and play with the English language and discover how it works beyond what we see. So we know that English is a language we can look at and think, wow, that really doesn't match what it sounds like. And so this game is designed to really bring that and pop it up into our view and help us notice new things. For our participants in the room, you know where the chat is. You can ask questions there, or you can simply turn on your microphone and interrupt with a question. All right, so Color It Out is based on the Color Vowel Chart, which is a visual kinesthetic tool for understanding and learning more over time about the sounds of English, specifically the vowel sounds of English and the sound of English in its natural spoken form. So the way that we sound when we speak, the way that we sound when we speak. So the way that we sound when we speak has a certain rhythm to it, And that rhythm has these kind of high notes or big sounds that are called stress. So stress is the crux or the center of English communication when we're speaking. Without the emphasis on the right syllable, we don't understand each other. And that's going to be the way that we introduce learners to how English works, is to reveal to them the secret of English. And that is that every word of English has one stressed syllable. And every sentence of English has certain words that receive more stress than other words. So that's the big picture of the Color Vowel Chart. I'll start very simple and simply introduce you to the sounds of English. And for this, I will switch to my large scale chart behind me. Okay, right here is the Color Vowel Chart. And I'll have you take out your hand right in the comfort of your own viewing space and say this along with me and use your hand in the same way that I do. I'll be coming back to why we use the hand like this, okay? Starting up at the top, green T-E. Green T-E. So you'll repeat after me. Silver pin I. Silver pin I. Gray day A. Gray day A. Red dress Red dress Black cat Black cat Olive sock Olive sock Auburn dog Auburn dog Turquoise toy Turquoise toy Rose coat Rose coat Wooden hook Wooden hook Blue moon Blue moon A cup of mustard A cup of mustard Purple shirt Purple shirt Brown cow ow Brown cow ow White tie I White tie I. These are the vowel sounds of American English. Okay, so the Color Vowel Chart is always going to be a visual background to what you do in the classroom or what you do in your conversation groups. It's a way to refer to the way English sounds, and I'll give you a few examples. We will now talk about how a word is a particular color. For example, really easy with one syllable words. If I take a word like play. So here's the word play. play, play, and we can hear the play, yay, 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 yay. That A sound is what we call the gray sound. So play is a gray word. And then if we have a word like pool, go to the pool, 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 ooh, 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 that would be a blue sound. So pool is a blue word. Blue, moon, pool. Okay. Now we could take that same blue sound and find a two-syllable word like student, student. We don't say student. That is not the way we say that word. If I talk about a student in regular speech, my colleagues will not understand me. So the nature of that spoken word is that it's student, and that would be a blue word. Blue, moon, student. Okay. And we can take longer words then like university. So that starts with what sounds like, blue vowel, U, but listen to it. University. Okay, so it's not university, it's university. And that would be a purple shirt word. So with Color It Out, we're going to harness that methodology into a game that we can play to, in a sense, distract learners from the business of learning English and really put them inside of the play of English. What we do is we have fun with the language. Okay, I'm going to share a couple of images here for you, and then we'll get into play. And so you'll notice that I've been using the open hand. The open hand is a way to connect the brain to what we're doing with the English language when we use these anchor phrases like green tea, E. It helps us notice the sound that's embedded in both those words so that we can call a word like scenic a green word, green tea, E, scenic. Okay. Without the hand, we find that even we ourselves as teachers can lose track of what it is we're listening to. A word like university can start to seem like, well, that's 4 syllables, and I hear you at the beginning. Maybe it's a blue word. But when we take out the hand, it becomes almost impossible to put the stress on the wrong syllable. University. This hand is also where we would nod if we were speaking emphatically. So the hand is simply a visual, physical, kinesthetic way to highlight the stressed syllable. And then it's going to allow us to spend more time on it so we can find the syllable. So find the vowel sound. In the case of find, I, that would be a white tie word. Okay, so the hand and the chart are all here as a backdrop to playing this game very successfully. And then, of course, when you have Color It Out as a game and maybe you just want to play and don't have the chart, it still works as a game, okay? But I'm trying to introduce everyone today to, how to play it with all of the supports that non-native speakers of English can benefit from, as well as teachers. Okay, so the open hand is what we're doing here when we play the game. Okay, the images that you see here correlate to the color vowel chart. So you already see, front and center. Here's the purple shirt of purple shirt. When we take it out and simply use an image, and learners are introduced pretty quickly and easily to these images, they know they're looking at the sound without having to call it They may not have that sound in their language, so having a name for it, like purple, is much easier to handle than to hear a sound you don't have in your language and then you're using a different sound. For example, instead of a speaker of Spanish might say purple shirt. But if they say purple, now they know at least what sound they're talking about. So the color vowel images provide learners and teachers a way to name the sounds that they're working on as they're improving their pronunciation and as they're learning to read in the other direction. Okay, so the pronunciation is one direction, listening is the reverse of pronunciation in a sense, and both of those form the phonemic awareness that learners need to decode and to read words effectively in the written form. So we have green tea, E, silver pin, I, gray day, A, right? You try the next one. Red dress, okay? Black cat, okay? And so forth. A cup of mustard, So we present these in the game with a keyword card so that learners know what these these images represent. They don't have to guess. And you want to introduce them to the images before the game starts, of course. Okay. In this way, we're able to use images to do something that we take for granted every day. If you're a native English speaker or proficient non-native English speaker, which is to look at words and to know how they sound before you are going to say them. These three words. Now, don't take it for granted. You already know in your mind that this is do, does, and don't. But how is it that a learner is supposed to know that one is ooh, one is and one is o? In fact, it would be entirely logical for a learner to say, I know the word do, so this must be do's, and this must be don't. Or the reverse, this is don't, and therefore this is do's, and this is do. And yet we know. How do we know? We're not sure, right? We don't remember not knowing this, that each of these has these sounds. So it's blue moon, do, a cup of mustard, does, and rose coat, oh, don't. So the game is going to provide these visual cues in advance of the turn, which is spoken, and the learner is going to be able to succeed from the start while playing a game that the winning and losing of doesn't depend on their pronunciation. Okay, so they're playing a game, they're trying to run out of cards, they're focused on the gaminess of it, and meanwhile, they're being guided to speak English words aloud with success. So here's a typical example of what the cards look like. These are all red words, of course. And what we've done in the game is we've taken high frequency words and we've coded them with a border, that is the color, and then the object or the color vowel anchor phrase, anchor image right there, that identifies the sound in the stress syllable where the line is shown here. So this is red, dress, again. And we've built a fluency, a literacy behavior into the card so that they're scanning from left to right. Ideally, they're going to touch with their finger, like my pointer is here. They'll touch here, red, dress, again. And once you know that if it's a low literacy student you're working with, once you know that they're really doing that consistently with their finger, touching it, they can use their hand. Red, dress, again. Now, by doing this, they're able to slow down enough to apply the vowel sound that is represented here by the anchor image and to really sort of unwire and rewire their notion of how this word is going to sound. So here I'm speaking not necessarily of just low literacy students, but of, say, high literacy students or highly educated non-native speakers who, after years of study, are saying again, again. And that's maybe because it looks like again. The word looks like again. Why not say it that way? And so they're going to apply the red, dress, vowel, and they'll be able to say again, again. Okay. Similarly here with the word says. Now, of course, this looks like says, and it's entirely reasonable to say that word that way, and yet it's not what we consider the accurate pronunciation, right? And so we can apply red, dress, says, says. Okay. This is a picture of some of our cards cut up. So you notice that if I just hold one up here, each of our cards has two words on it, one on the top and one, they're upside down this way. So here I have green tea teacher, red dress friend. I just wanted to show you some of the words by themselves. So apart from the card, you can cut them in half and actually create mini flashcards for certain kinds of discovery. And so these are all of the mustard words in the game. What you see here, and this is sort of organized by frequency, we have all of the words that are spelled, these are all mustard, a cup of mustard, You see all of the words that are spelled with a U, with the letter U. And then you see the words in this set of words that are all spelled with the letter O. And yet, it's such a revelation for a learner to realize that these all have the same sound regardless of spelling pattern. So must, other, and love all have the same sound, as does was and does, okay? So just giving you an idea that we've chosen words, these are all, again, high frequency, top 2,000 type words that contain a lot of spelling variation. And part of the color vowel approach is to say there are no outliers in the way we approach English. You don't have words that break the rules or that are exceptions. They're all words of English. They all behave in a certain way. And we approach understanding that behavior from the sound first, and then later, as part of the game, as part of our methodology, we get into the letters and help learners form a kind of peace with what seems like a lack of connection. There is a connection, but it looks like a pretty loose connection between the way English sounds and the way that it looks. Okay. So I want to take a moment here to play. Okay. Now, here on my desk, I've got a deck of Color It Out. Okay. And I have a little chart here just because it's handy to always have the chart on the table when you play with students. There's always a discard pile. Okay, so here's Color It Out. It's a thick deck. It's quite a bit like Uno, and the rules of the game are like Uno. So it's a thick deck. It'll come in your box. This is the box of Color It Out. And so half of the cards are here and the other half inside are here. When you get your box, they are not two separate decks. They are two decks that need to be combined so that you have the full range of words, okay? So there's Color It Out. And each player gets 7 cards. If you have a lot of players, like 6 players, you might make it 5 cards. But 7 is a nice number, and I'll just deal myself 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish. Okay, so I'm holding up my cards. There's a discard pile. And what we'll do now is I will look for a card in my deck right here that matches either green tea teacher or red dress friend in the color vowel image. So I'm looking for another red dress word. I can see instantly in my deck right here, I'll just show you. If I'm looking for a red dress word, I can see I have them right here. So I don't have to pick up every card and read the word. I'm just looking for the image. There's one right there. Or I could look for a green word right up here. And if I look in my hand, I can say, oh, I have a green one right here. So let me take this one out and say, I'll use the green one. Why not? Yeah. So here's my green word. And I'm going to play with a spoken turn. And this is the one hard and fast rule of this game, is that it is a spoken game. You need to take your time so that the educational design inside of the game really can take effect. So here's the spoken turn. Listen to me. Green tea between, green tea teacher. So I'll do this with my fingers on the cards first. Here we go. Green tea between, green tea teacher. And I play the card. Okay. Now the next person will have a hand, and I'm just going to use my same hand because I can play this game with myself. That's not a problem. Okay, so here we are. I've got this hand. Now I need to find a card that either matches green tea or a cup of mustard. And again, the chart's always here. There's a copy of it in the deck. So you can look at the color and you can read the phrase, a cup of mustard. So it's all connected, okay? So I look at my hand and I see that I actually don't have any green words, but I do have a mustard word. So I can pick up my mustard word. I can look at that. And so here we are with the word, a cup of mustard, some, not some. That would be tempting to say some. So a cup of mustard, some. So I start always with the card on the table, and then I play the card in my hand. So this turn will sound like, you can do it with me, a cup of mustard what? A cup of mustard, some. And it goes down. So notice that whether it's with the hand or with the finger tracing on the card, you have a kind of a slowness to the game that establishes its purpose, a kind of awareness of a vowel sound, that this letter O is not som, even though there is a silent E in it. We're kind of stepping outside of the spelling rules of English, as well as all those exceptions that come with those rules. And instead, we're saying, here's how a word sounds. And let's look at the letter and be curious. So it's a curiosity building game, okay? I'm going to play one more turn before we look at some of the special cards. And so here is my next turn. I've got a cup of mustard, some, and I have red dress, many. Okay, not Manny, but many. That A is a red word, okay? And I have a whole slew of red words I can see here in my hand. So I could choose never, right? I could choose again, or I could choose says. So I'll go ahead and pick says. I like that word a lot. And just for the sake of seeing what we're doing here, here's red dress, many. Red dress says. Okay. All right. And so the game proceeds, and the goal is to run out of cards. The person who runs out of cards first wins. When you don't have a card to play, then you're going to draw up to 3. So you say, well, let's say that my next turn, it's my turn, and all I have are these cards right here. So I can see I don't have any matches. Oh, I do actually. Gray day say, gray day straight. Okay. Now, next person has only these cards and none of them match. So I'm going to pick up to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, in this case, I actually didn't need the third because the second one was a card I could play. So you draw, in this case, 2. You can also create house rules on this. There are some students who love to play the old-fashioned Uno rules where you draw until you can play, which is kind of a more hardcore version of the game. So the game is you can't break it. The only way to break it is to not speak, okay? But other than that, you can create house rules with your students. They can innovate some of the rules as far as what to do when you don't have a card to play. Is it draw 3? Is it draw 1? With younger students, I find having a cap to the number of cards you end up drawing is more developmentally appropriate because they won't get overwhelmed by having to draw 5 and 6 cards and then feel hopeless. Adult students will sometimes feel really competitive and then they have a unlimited drawing until you can play a card kind of approach. Okay. Now in the game, we have some special cards I can pull out that create a bit of fun for the game. For example, this is the wild card, okay? If we play a wild card out of your hand, that allows the player to then look in their hand and choose a card that they want to play. And they're going to determine, I think I want to play, I have a lot of brown words by chance, so I'm going to say wild and brown cow around. So now the cards are back in play with this new option. Next player plays either a brown cow word or a cup of mustard word, okay? Now I'll be happy to take questions at this point as I segue back into a little bit more information about the game. Okay. Okay, there is no wrong way to play as long as you say your play, and that's the truth. I've watched students do all kinds of things with their colored out decks, that they can play dominoes with them, they can play head to toe and just make a big long snake, which I'll show you in just a minute, but as long as they're speaking, that would be the only requirement. Why? Because if you're just looking at the words, now it's a visual experience, and it doesn't help bridge the written to the spoken, okay? So you can view your cards either face up. So I've had students who actually aren't at all familiar with playing cards. So holding a fan was not comfortable for them. And we just had the students play them by putting them out on the table. They could see each other's, and they played collaboratively, okay? In those cases, I take out the special cards, the wild card and the skip cards, so that they're really playing a collaborative exploration game, okay? You can play with a fan, hidden, competitive. Okay. You can, so I'll give you an example of what that looks like. Here is that open face, we're all curious about the words kind of play. And here is a more competitive version. These were a group of our graduate students, Panamanian teachers of English. They were having a lot of fun being competitive. These were a group of teachers, actually native and non-native speaking teachers of English, playing together collaboratively. Okay, down here, one of our colleagues took a deck of Color It Out to Indonesia, and the teachers, rather than playing the game, just said, nope, we want to look at these cards. And they looked at them and said each one and placed them one by one, head to toe, matching the colors. in a big, long, beautiful snake. And so that ended up being this very robust activity that lasted, 30 minutes. And then they played the game in the more conventional sense. Here's a domino style game. And so that's a lot of fun. Again, you can keep the wild cards and so forth, but it's a much shorter game, which is an advantage sometimes, just because it's pretty satisfying to finish that game in, say, 5 minutes instead of 10. Okay, so a competitive game where you're playing one card on top of the other can last longer because you have fewer options for play, whereas dominoes has more options. So you can see here, they had 3 red cards. And the other big advantage of playing domino style is when you have 3, then you really start to hear that same sound 3 times. So I think here the words are red dress went, red dress friend, and red dress feather, let's say. I can't really see it there. But when you start to get that and the third phrase, red dress feather, you start to hear that vowel sound over and over, which actually moves in the brain into another channel, the musical channel. So we're working with the way the brain works with language and how we can harness the non-language channels of the brain to notice aspects of the language that we're learning and teaching. Okay, and we have a lot more of that built into the way that we train you to use the color vowel approach. Okay. So the hand is central. Color It Out is great for training teachers. We use it in our own training so that teachers can discover just how much, again, that they assume that English is a sound audable language, and then in time they realize, oh my goodness, it's simply not. Okay, and here you see this is actually the game creator Laura McIndoe, who took the Color Vowel Chart and gamified it with this idea of a game. And she's here working with teachers in Colorado who are native Spanish speakers. So they're at this point with their arms, they're not just saying the word, they're actually using color vowel yoga, which is a technique we've used to externalize the vowel sounds from our vocal tract into our arms. So this teacher is learning how to pronounce the silver sound, which is hard for Spanish speakers. So she's coming up from E, yeah, and on the way down to yeah, black cat, she can hear the silver, okay. The chart is organized, I think I'll just point out briefly here for a moment. The chart is organized with the vocal tract in mind, and so it's actually, this is a map in this direction with my nose here of how the vowel sounds are produced. So this is green T, E, 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 E. Here in the front it comes down, yeah, yow. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, we provide a lot of free training around that with our free webinars. We have a few things on our YouTube channel that help you understand a bit more about that, and then we help you dig in deep as you get to know the color vowel approach. Okay. Color It Out is for all ages. We started off piloting Color It Out with adult learners. That's where Laura McIndoe invented the game with adult ESL students at a community college. They loved it and they wanted to take it home to their children, which was a very powerful indicator that we'd created something that they found really accessible and that they could actually have some authority with, right? They know how to play the game. They don't have to have perfect pronunciation to take it home to their kids who may sound like native speakers, but who may be struggling with reading, or simply enjoy language if they're not struggling with reading, okay? These learners are from my own kids' school. This is a Montessori school. So these are, at this point, 7- and 8-year-old. We played it with kids as young as 5 and found that developmentally, in terms of emotions of winning and losing a game, 7 is ideal for a group of kids who are going to play the game. If they're all 7 and older, it can work. If they're a mixed group with a couple 5-year-olds thrown in who are really precocious readers, that can work. But we like to say 7 and up for this game. It is genuinely fun, and I think that's important to say because a lot of language games are really language exercises dressed up as games. This game is winnable whether you do a great job of reading those words or not, whether your pronunciation is fantastic or not. It is a way to improve those skills while you're playing, truly playing. So we've found that native and non-native speakers can actually bond especially adults. If you have conversation groups with adults and you have volunteers who lead those groups, those native and non-native speakers can really enjoy time together as people that reaches beyond the "let me help you learn English" kind of setting that they've started with. This is showing you some of the special cards that we have here. There's a +2 option, reverse, so it'll reverse play if you're playing with a group, a skip option, silver pin skip, and wild cards. Okay, and just to remind you, this is all related to the color vowel approach, so I wanted to show you the teacher starter kit. Most importantly, we provide with the kit our book outlining the color vowel approach. It's thin but dense and beautifully laid out, very digestible. It's a really priceless reference for a teacher or anybody who works with non-native speakers of English. Along with that, by having the teacher starter kit, you become part of our private community of color vowel teachers. So we basically make that, this is the key to getting into that room where we share ideas, we answer questions, we have trainers in the room all the time, and it's simply a wonderfully fun and curiosity-stoked place to talk about language in a color vowel way. So I want to thank you for this